And then here is where we are ready now to do something interesting. And there are some differences. As you look at you can see pictures of everybody on your screen, right? You see these little pictures. And you notice that the lighting varies from one to another and all sorts of things like that. So something in their side of the office that you don't have the same kind of control about is how clear the signal is and how well you can see them. So I think one of the things that doing hypnosis online, I certainly know that it's true with doing NLP online, is one of the things that's required is the ability to really calibrate, to have sensory acuity skills that allow you to see what's going on with that face on your computer screen, particularly if that's all you've got is a face. In the case of Kath here, I've just got 2 eyes in the top of your head. So there you go. So yeah, so there's that. So what I want to do is I want to do an exercise, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this with somebody first, and I think I don't know, Steph, you want to be a demo person?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Great. So y'all can do this either way that you want, but you can see Stephanie there. You don't really need to see me because you've seen me before, and you can hallucinate.
You need more light.
But if you want to, you can click on Stephanie's picture, and that will pin her, so it won't change back and forth. Otherwise, you'll just see me whenever I'm talking, and she'll just be that little box. When you're done with that, by the way, you can also kind of release her from being pinned by clicking on it again and unpin her, and then things will be back the way that they were a minute ago. So I hope you can see Stephanie, and in fact, I'm gonna do that as well. There you go. Yeah, and by the way, so I've just done that. So I pinned you on my screen, and so you're my pinup lady, I guess.
Never been a pinup before. First time for everything, Michael.
And so if you've done that as well, you might notice in the top right-hand corner of the box where she is a little button that says "Switch to Active Speaker." If you're seeing that, when you click that, it'll go back to the way that it was set up before. That is, you'll see the person that's talking when they're talking, but otherwise, we can just watch Stephanie. How does that? And when you get uncomfortable enough with everybody looking at you, Stephanie, then you can just close your eyes and go into a deep trance. See that? Now that's a rapid induction. So seriously, Stephanie, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great.
And are you comfortable in that chair?
I am very comfortable, thank you. Yes.
Comfortable enough to go into a trance, of course.
Of course. Yes.
And you've been in a trance before.
I have.
I know that you know a great deal about how to go into hypnosis. And by the way, and I would say this not only to you, but to everybody that's listening, is that when you're working with somebody that already has some experience with trance, then you don't need to teach them like to treat them like they're in kindergarten or they don't know what's going on. You know, I think we really want to respect people's abilities. After all, what we're really about is enhancing what it is that people have got going on for them in the first place, and and bringing it more out into the world. So one of the things that I know is, and I appreciate, part of the reason that I chose you, Stephanie, is that you have done a bunch of stuff online. So I suspect that you're already relatively comfortable with the idea of just being there in a chair listening to me and looking at the screen or the camera or wherever it is that you tend to look. And so while some people, if I were to ask them how comfortable they were, on a scale of, say, 1 to 10, where
Absolutely.
10 is maximum, like comfort and practically knocked out in trance, and 1 is like really, really uptight and tense, a lot of people would probably come in somewhere around 5. But because you've had some experience with this and stuff, you don't start out with that tension. So just curiously, what would you say your starting number is? It's entirely subjective.
It's 3.
Is it wait? 10 being the most comfortable and 1 being really...
Oh, the most comfortable. Sorry.
Yeah.
You were a little bit.
Yeah.
Out.
So this is like an 8 or a 7 or...
7.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So good. So right now, while you're sitting there in the chair, what you can notice is what a 7 is to you, because you've described it in that way. And as you just sort of pay attention to your body and notice the level of comfort that you're experiencing, you just let yourself know, so this is a 7. And I'm wondering, would you like to discover how to make that 7 an 8 or a 9? Just to change it a little bit. Would you like to discover how to do that?
Yes.
All right. And because that's something you'd like to discover, I think it's important that you give yourself permission to make that discovery. So really, as you experience that 7, and it's probably a little easier with your eyes closed so that you can turn your attention inside and really notice that. I'd like to invite you to begin to consider, begin to discover just what changes would occur as that 7 becomes an 8 or a 9. So you might notice, for example, for you, that it has something to do with the way that you breathe, or maybe it has something to do with the amount of tension or relaxation that you feel in any particular muscles in your body. Or maybe it has to do with something else entirely, the way that you think, or the way that you just let thoughts flow. And so you have an opportunity to really just experiment and just explore how to make a 7 become an 8, or even a 9 if you like. And when you found that 8, then you can just go ahead and give me a nod as a way of letting me know. That's right. And that's what an 8 feels like. And you can be curious about how an 8 becomes a 9 as well. Maybe you feel a certain heaviness in the body. Maybe you notice a certain level of absorption that develops as you really savor the experience of becoming more and more relaxed. That's right. Just that inhalation and that exhalation takes you deeper. And have you found the 9? That's right, just a little nod, that's good. And I want you to know that you could take this even farther if you'd like to. But for our purposes here and now, you've done a nice job. And the interesting thing to discover is, it wasn't really a suggestion that I gave you. I asked if you'd like to discover how to make that change. You said yes. And I told you to go ahead and discover how. I offered you some ideas about what it might be, but I also let you consider your own ideas and do it in your own way. Because everybody has your own way of going into a nice, deep state of hypnosis. And everybody has your own way of finding their way back to the room. Some people like to use a count, for example, and I like to count from 1 to 3, only because it gives me an opportunity to celebrate something that I really enjoy. Because 1 represents that level of relaxation now that you feel. Used to be a 10, we seem to have turned the whole world upside down. But 1 represents this level of relaxation, and you can savor it for a moment before you move on up to 2, which is that number in the middle. And the thing about that number in the middle, and the real reason that I like counting from 1 to 3 is, mathematically 1.5 is in the middle, isn't it? But we've jumped all the way up to 2. So it's a little more than in the middle. And yet, it's that place where you have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. It's that hokey-pokey place of hypnosis that everybody really can enjoy. You can hear what I'm saying, can't you? And you can appreciate what I'm saying. And at the same time, you can just savor those last few moments of deep relaxation, knowing that in a moment I'm going to say 1 and I'm going to snap my fingers. And when I do, you can open your eyes and you can come all the way back out here to the room. And 1, opening your eyes and coming back to join us here in the room. There you go. Now, I did most of the talking, and so you might have the idea that I did most of the hypnotizing. But so what we just finished doing was a little demonstration, and I did basically I created a space in which Stephanie, one of our participants, had the opportunity to sort of go into hypnosis simply by me inviting her to discover what it would take for her to deepen her trance.
You teased me, Michael.
Yes. Yes, I teased you. Is that right?
Yeah, you just gave me a little taste of it, and then you brought me back up.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because here's the reason that I did that, is that what I want you to notice is that, you could see Stephanie, you could see what she was doing. When a person is going into trance in your office and they're in front of you, you're watching them, right? There are things that you can see that let you know that change is taking place. Some people are really good at calibrating towards skin tone color and the muscle tone, and you see rapid eye movement or various things like that. You really need to almost retrain your eyes, I think, and to get really good at that, to do it online. And when I'm saying retrain your eyes, I'm not saying you don't have skill to begin with. It's already there, right? And it's just a question of making a little adjustment that allows you to see things, because what is in front of you is two-dimensional, sadly. Of course, by next year, that probably won't be the case. We'll just all be wearing glasses and, it'll be a 3D screen. But so it changes what it is that you see. And so it's really important, I think, to practice those kind of calibration skills. So here's what I have in mind, and I hope that you're all ready to have a little experience, because I'm going to remind you just what was involved in that induction, just so that you don't have to freak out about. There's no need for any performance anxiety here, because that isn't what it's about. All that was to the induction was to notice on a scale of 1 to 10 how comfortable you are, and assign it a number. By the way, you could use any number of things. You could use comfortable, you could use relaxed, you could use absorbed, which is a great hypnotic word, or you could do one after the other. You could get really comfortable. Right now we've got a 10 on comfort. And the saying is, you're really, really comfortable, just enjoying that sense of comfort. I wonder if you notice just how deeply absorbed in that trance state you are. And on a scale of 1 to 10, what number you'd give that. And then you could continue, and what would be involved in taking that further. Let them develop, let them create their own trance. The one thing that's really easy to calibrate to.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And the one thing that's really easy to calibrate to is the head nods. And by the way, that's always going to be on your screen. So you could say, and let me know, when you're there. There's no reason not to do that. It's perfectly all right. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, we're actually going to take advantage of a feature of Zoom. And that is, we have breakout rooms. So I'm only going to give you a couple minutes to do this. You're not going to be stuck here for a long time. It'll be a very quick thing. But what I'd like you to do is to just get paired up with somebody. The computer's going to do it automatically. So who you end up with will be a total surprise to you. And I know that they will be just exactly the right person. But it's going to put you in your own little meeting room for a moment. So it'll just be the two of you. And you can do it either way you want. If you want to guide them the way that I did, just by asking them how comfortable they are, and to discover what would be involved in deepening that, and just encourage them and watch and see what it is that you notice as their state changes. What can you actually see that tells you they're going into trance? How can you get the feedback that you need? The other choice, by the way, because your partner probably already knows something about going into trance, we're hypnotists here, is you can just ask them to do whatever it is that they do. Whatever it is that they do naturally, just invite them to go ahead and let themselves take a minute, a few breaths to drop into a trance state, just so that you can watch and so that you can see what you notice and exercise your calibration skills just a little bit. So are we ready for this? Okay, so now this is the first time I actually